I've been doing this many years, but I have never quite heard it put this way. What are we talking about? We're going to deep dive. Stay tuned.
I'm Cristy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. I'm your host, Cristy Code Red, author, entrepreneur, retired professional boxer. And we've got Jake Thomas on the program today. Jake, I started following you a few months ago when Instagram suggested that I do, because Instagram matched me up. We follow a lot of the same people. We run in the same circles. We seem to be of the same ilk. We have a lot of the same outlook on things. And I really like your content. You're raw, you're real. You just put it out there. You're not concerned about hurting people's feelings, which I'm just so over that baloney. But one thing you said here a couple of weeks ago that really stuck with me and made me send you a DM was you said, every day is day one. And I was like, every day is day one. So I want you to go into that. But before you do, I want you to take us back, introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are, what your background is, bring us up to date. Jake Thomas, thanks for being on.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Cristy. It's good to be here. I'm a big fan of anything Code Red, so it works for me too. But yeah, I grew up in New Orleans, born and raised, upper middle class white suburbia. Went to Catholic school. Everything looked good on the outside. My parents got divorced when I was young, and I was raised by my father and his then wife, who was the woman he had had an affair with behind my mother's back for like 13 years during their marriage or something like that, maybe 12 years, I forget, but a long time. And my mother's from another country, so her knowledge of people that she socialized with and grew to met there were all kind of fraudulent in many ways, because they were, one person away from the relationship between my father and his now wife, who was then her friend, et cetera, et cetera. So I grew up in this kind of weird place of a disguised relationship of the perfect family, which was all bullshit for the most part, because my mother was displaced. My father was a great father, don't get me wrong, but maybe not the best husband. And my brother and I suffered, a disguise because of that. Like, we played roles as characters in this, fraud play of a family. And I didn't really know that at the time. It wasn't until years later that I really realized how much I was suppressing in the form of happiness and joy and depression and sadness. And so I went to the military when I was 17. That looked like a better place for me to be than where I was at. Currently, I was not doing well in the university I was at. I went to school right out of high school, was just messing around, getting high with my friends, not going to class. Didn't really feel like I had any direction or purpose in life. And I was like, man, the military, the Marines especially, that looks like a better situation for me than where I currently am, between my family, what I was doing in life and school. And anyway, I got there, found some leadership principles, some, a newfound sense of assertiveness, mission for sure, and a family and an identity, the ethos, all the things I was able to buy into and find commonality with myself and amongst the Marine Corps, and did me well for 4 years. And then when I got out, I felt like I lost all that. Now, I didn't have a sense of mission. I no longer had a sense of purpose. I had all these tools and skill sets and leadership principles and traits, yes, but I didn't have that identity anymore. And I dealt with, for the better part of 10, 15 years after separating, trying to find that again, a sense of mission, purpose, an identity, like knowing that every single day I got up, I knew what I was doing. I knew where I was going. I knew what the tasks were in front of me, even the manner in which I needed to execute those tasks, the timelines that were required to do so, et cetera. But then as a civilian, I was kind of lost again. And like I said, it took me 10, 15 years to kind of refine my way. And amidst all that was dealing with alcohol and substances and womanizing and gambling and just consumerism, hyper consumerism, to where I couldn't quench my thirst for things or for people or for places. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that I really started to tie things together and realize that it was this sense of mission that I was missing, and that really meant a lot to me, and that the identity of what I was meant a lot to me, meaning I was a Marine. Like, that gave me this real sense of statuesque like identity. And I was so proud to be that. And so all the jobs and career paths that I'd been trying over these last 10 to 15 years that just weren't sticking, it's because I wasn't necessarily identifying myself with them, or that rather I didn't see the fulfillment in the jobs or the tasks or the careers that I was hoping for. And it wasn't until I started really working on myself and eventually working with other people that I refound that sense of identity, character, commitment, and mission. And that's what got me here today.
So when you said you went off the deep end, it's interesting. I don't know if you follow Chris Cavallini, the owner of Nutrition Solutions. He was on my podcast here a couple of months ago, and he said the same thing happened when he got out of the Navy. He was a diver, and just he came from a super, a broken home, and anyway, the military gave him that purpose, and when he got out, man, he went off the deep end. So you just you got like, would you got fat? You were doing drugs and alcohol. It just went off the deep end.
Shout out to the Navy divers first off. They're a good group of people. Yeah, yes and yes and yes to all those questions. So went off the deep end. I worked at a bar when I first got out of the military because it was perfect. It was a place where I could get free booze, socialize, have friends, and I could hide. For me, a lot of that, how to deal with a lot of the confusion was through escapism. So the discomfort, the awkwardness, all the I don't know what I'm supposed to do now kind of thing in the world that's around me because I was so used to the other world that I used to be in. I used substance, I used booze, I used pleasurable company, any of that to just escape, to not feel the sobering effects of reality. And so I drank a lot, like 8 nights a week for 5 years. And then continued that. I worked in the oil field for several years after that. And I did the same thing, working 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, three off, four on, four off, and come home after like a 4 week hitch with a shit ton of money and, reckless abandon to spend it and just to continue the party kind of thing. And was working odd hours out there. So I was working from like 1800 to 06. So I'd get back after, being out there for a month, and I'm still in that kind of clock in my mind. So my circadian rhythm was all jacked up, and I'm like, man, I got to, like I said, a buttload of money and I got nothing to do with it. So I'm going to go out on a bender for like 4 days. Like, there were times when I was literally flying home in a helicopter from offshore, calling or texting my dealer, like not calling my mom to say I'm okay or had another great successful trip, or, hey mom, I got, 2 weeks of overtime out there and I fucking got a ton of cash and I'm going to go, invest it into my house and all this stuff. No, I'm like texting my dealer. It's weird. But yeah, that was my deep end. My deep end was just consumption of anything and everything. I definitely put on weight. I get up to close to 200 pounds. I'm normally around like 165 is like an ideal spot for me. So I was overweight. I was inflamed in many ways. I didn't know all this at the time. I was just having a good time in life because I had the means. I had no responsibility, so to speak, no dependence, no spouse, none of that. So I was able to just kind of do things the way I wanted to. But I knew even then that I was doing a lot of it because I was trying to not be where I was mentally. I knew that I didn't feel happy being around a lot of the people that I was. I knew I didn't feel happy where I was professionally. I felt inadequate in many ways. Not having that diploma was something that was college diploma was something that was eating away at me. And it was like this, seeing all my friends become professionals in their own rights, going to graduate schools and professional schools, and even further past that, and starting businesses. I felt like I was getting left behind. And the longer that college diploma went outstanding, even though I was making a lot of good money in the oil field, because you really can, especially at that time, I still felt like I was falling behind. And so the more I felt like I fell behind, the more I would consume and use and try to escape. And it was just it was an insatiable lust for escapism. And I could not quench it no matter how much I drank, no matter how much I snorted, no matter how many people I fucked, how many things I bought, bags, cars, and, material bits of nonsense. It just didn't matter. And I couldn't understand that. I was vexed. like I couldn't grasp, like, what, how can I not be happy? What the fuck is wrong with me? I got everything I want. I can do whatever I want to do. I can go where, but like, I just couldn't be happy. And yeah, I did that for like 10, 15 years. So as far as in, was it a failure? No, because it's like the Thomas Edison thing of like 10,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. It's like, yeah, I got plenty of schematics on how not to do it, and from those schematics, eventually crafted a way of figuring out how to make the light bulb.
What was the turning point? Was there something specific that was your turning point?
There's a couple of situations. There wasn't one like lightning bolt moment. And even still, like these couple of situations weren't enough to like totally make me like walk the path. First was when my brother was in law school, my younger brother, he would come home from school some days and like we would talk and we're very, very close. And he would just tell me about things that he'd learned in class. And I was like glued to it, even as fucked up as I was. Like I was so into anything that he was doing because he's my brother and I love him, my younger brother. And I just thought it was so cool. I was like, guys, he's gonna be a lawyer. This is awesome. Like, this is so cool. And he's had his own dealings with difficulties through childhood and adolescence and early adulthood. And so for him to be there was like, God, like really cleaned up his act and it was just awesome. But he would come home and tell me about, hey, I learned about this. Did you know about that? I was like, fuck, that's cool. Wow, that's really cool. And one of these days was, did you know that possession in the state of Louisiana, possession of a firearm whilst also possessing a controlled dangerous substance or a CDS, a la cocaine, comes with a mandatory 10-year sentence? And I was like, what? I was like, no, I did not know that. One. Two, I always carried when I was home. I always had a gun on me everywhere I went, in the vehicle or on the person, all the time for years. And for many of those years later years of me living in New Orleans still in Louisiana, I had bags on me all the time, everywhere I went. So I just ran the numbers in my head. I was like, fuck, how many times I've been in the truck, been in the Range Rover with the pistol right next to me and a bag on my person, bags in the center, whatever. Like, nonetheless, they were there. And I was just like, Jesus. And he's like, yeah, so it's a code. So it's mandatory 10. So that's where you would start. Meaning, like, it's not like, okay, maybe we'll get 2. It's like these 2 things together equals mandatory 10. I was like, and then if you add on top of it, driving under the influence, which I was always doing, I used to always drink and drive, or under substance, plus that, like maybe add a speeding ticket on top of that, or like add, vehicular manslaughter, God forbid, because I hit something, like I'd be fucked. Like super. I mean, 10 years is fucked. But that on top of that, it was like, so I was like, damn, like, oh my God, like, wow, that's really good to know, Alec. Thanks for telling me. Still wasn't enough to get me to stop. I moved to New York, like 2015 into Manhattan, got rid of my vehicle. So I was like, oh, cool. No more driving. So no more drinking and driving. Sweet. No more vehicle. So no more gun. And Manhattan, no more gun. Great. So like my kind of fucked up rationale was I got rid of the vehicle. I got rid of the gun. Now I just have the drugs. Perfect. No more DUI possibility. No more possession with firearm in the vehicle. No, because there's no more firearms. There's no more vehicles. Awesome. And I can get all this stuff delivered to me. Like, oh, sweet. So I get up there and I'm just back to partying, because I just saw a way of getting rid of the gun, getting rid of the vehicle. So now I can just kind of do this in a different way. And then one night I had a pretty embarrassing moment at a party I don't remember being at, and I don't remember what transpired. It was nothing violent. I was just very apparently embarrassing because I was extremely overserved. And my girlfriend at the time tells me this the next day, of which I woke up in the morning at my condo in the threshold of the elevator on the floor with like the door kind of like just going back and forth and the alarm going off and like, like, and it was a very small boutique building. And so, it's probably like 8 o'clock in the morning when I woke up and I was just like, wow, like on the floor and I had like vomit all over me and it was like dried, like, like it had been oatmeal. It was disgusting. It smelled horrible. And I was like, oh, this is not good. And I thought, like, I wonder how many people walked past me today. Like, how many of the other residents like had to walk past me and like, look at this fucking idiot. I always wish I could have gotten the videotape of the surveillance cameras because I thought it would have been hysterical. But even still, those two were like the two times that kind of like hit me hard, but it still wasn't enough to totally make me stop. But at least those two things, not too far apart, kind of got the ball rolling. And then that's what really started my path of getting cleaned up. You know, I wouldn't call it, it wasn't self-actualization or any of the cool fucking buzzwords back then. No, I didn't have any idea who the fuck Abraham Maslow was at the time. So if you would have told me self-actualization, I would be like, nah, piss off. It was, I just felt, I didn't feel good. And like, you know, I was already 30 and like I wasn't 22 anymore. You know, that'd been funny then. Like, yeah, I'm just getting fucked up, whatever. But like, it's like, dude, where are you going? Like, what are you doing? What kind of person do you see yourself as? You know, these things just didn't equate to something that I saw as someone worth something or me. Like, is this, am I admirable of myself? No. You know, like I had enough sense and good heartedness to know that at the time. And so those two things were what really began the start of change, I would say.
I noticed on your stories you were doing questions, which is always fun, the kind of questions you get and the way you answer and stuff, and somebody said, "What are your non-negotiables?" And you said any kind of drinking. So did you stopped all, like, even nowadays it's you just kind of cold turkey, you don't allow any of that now? Is that kind of how you structured that?
Yeah, I'll have two years totally sober from alcohol next month on my birthday.
Mhm.
And 4 years, I guess, totally sober from harder things. So yeah, those are non-negotiables to me now. I mean, drugs for sure, you know, illicit drugs, recreational drugs, etc. For sure. Like there's just no place for them. And the booze too, you know, because to me, it's just a gateway drug anyway for me. You know, if I start having a sip now, maybe tomorrow it's a few, maybe a week or a month later, it's more than a few. And then not too long after that, I'm like, all right, who's got a cigarette? And then not too long after that, who's got a bag? You know, it's for sure. I don't wake up in the morning. I'm like, I would love some cocaine right now. Never. I don't wake up in the morning and want a cigarette, but I get some booze in me, whether it's that day or the next few, or like I said, the next time or something. Like eventually I'm gonna be like cigarette, bag, like boom, 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 you know, like clock, like a little cascade of dominoes. And so on top of that, just because of what I know now about human physiology, biochemistry, the very nature of alcohol, the chemical nature of alcohol is a liquid depressant. I'm someone who's dealt with depression. Many people are. I'm someone who still deals with depression. Many people are. Why would I consume something that is only going to further encourage that? But man, the house is on fire. Okay, well, let's stop pouring gasoline on it. And that's probably a good place to start. But, you know, for many of us, we don't want to do that or we refuse to believe that. So for me, you know, mental health is pretty important in life, and certainly what I exude and certainly what I encourage and certainly what I work with other people trying to get towards themselves. So it's like this collection of reasons. Number one being it's for me, for my own health, for my own benefit, but it's also because it's me leading by example. You know, like to be able to show and demonstrate to other people, like this is part of what got me here. So like if you come ask me, come work with me, like I'm going to tell you, like this is part of it. You want to try to leave one foot in that part of your life, well, like go ahead, but that's not in my world, and that's not going to get you to where I am. You ask me questions like you're talking about, like how do you feel the way you do? Well, I don't fucking drink alcohol. Well, is there a way to do it without? I don't know, but that's not what I do. You know, like, well, do I have to eat like you? No, but you ask me how I feel and the reasons that I feel the way that I do. So yeah, that's how I eat. That's how I think. This is how I work out. This is what I, well, do I have to do it? Like, well, I don't fucking know. But if you want to ask me 10 times over, some people that have been following me for years, and I mean years, more than five, let's say, messaging me frequently, regularly. How do I do this? I still feel like that. I'm just like, are you still fucking at? Why are you still, what questions could you possibly still have to ask me? Like, shut the fuck up and just do what I'm saying. Newsflash, spoiler alert to anyone out there. You don't need to pay me for coaching. Follow the content. You're welcome. That's free. That's the solution. That's the plan. That's the entire program. No magic tricks or Houdini shit going on. Like, you don't need to pay me. Just do what I do.
And they won't. I
No.
saw a couple of your answers. You said you go, well, knowing who asked this question, I'm gonna say to you what I've said to you every single time you've asked me this question, and you answered it. And I just love that, because I
Yeah.
do the same thing. I'm thinking, oh, come on, how many times have we gone around this mountain?
Yeah.
And you have to be a product of your product. Ain't nobody want to buy your product if they if you're not walking the talk. So you have maintained you're lean, you're very lean, you maintain this uh very healthy physique. I know that I just ran my first half marathon over in
Nice.
thank you, over in Jackson Hole. My coaches and I, we wanted to do a coach trip, and we said, and I was inspired by you to run it fasted. And I was like, I'm gonna do the Jake Thomas thing. I'm gonna run this thing fasted. It was great. I do so much better when I'm fasted anyway. But I noticed that you often do these challenges for yourself. Other than a certain challenge, the watermelon challenge, the sardine challenge, you maintain pretty much a carnivore diet.
Yeah. Well, first off, congrats to you on your first half marathon. That's awesome. That's a milestone
So
moment. Way to
fun.
go. And doing it fasted, freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I've been a carnivore, a dominant, you could say 90% carnivore since June of 2020, 4 years ago, strictly. And before that, I was a vegan of all things. But yeah, I have found through that, embracing that diet and lifestyle, much more than what I thought to be a diet would give me. Everybody, you think about a diet and it's like, what's it going to do for my physical body? What is it going to do to my body composition? How is it going to help me look better? That's what most people associate diets with. This has been the beginning of my expansion of consciousness. It was through a diet that I've found my enlightenment, through a diet that I found my Maslow's hierarchy of needs, through a diet that I learned about epigenetics, through a diet that I found, people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and just other ways of finding happiness and fulfillment and, yeah, self-actualization, truly, through a diet, because I've removed so many other things in my life and prioritized the things that truly nourish me physically and spiritually. Like, people think a diet strictly has to be about food. Well, what about if it's anything and everything you ingest and consume? That's a diet. And then, sometimes people think, well, what's the difference between diet and dieting, right? Dieting in the present participle is different from a diet as a noun. Dieting is what most people think a diet is, like something you put on for a temporary amount of time. It's like, no, no, no. This is my diet. This is how I live. This is how I eat. This is how I do things. This is how I operate. And so, as much as, the carnivore diet was where it all started for me, like, I still don't call myself necessarily a carnivore. I don't like the title of that. I feel like it's kind of enclosing. But the benefits that I got from it, oh, hell yeah, I'm all about that. And I'm grateful to what that has given to me. And so much of it has really just been through realizing how much I'm able to do with so little, how much I'm able to derive so much sustenance, quality sustenance from so few sources. And that's why I started on these challenges and experiments for 30 days. And I've done some for even longer, like 66 days or 100 days. I've done, 100 days straight of just red meat, salt, and water, or 66 days of a strict carnivore, one meal a day, like massive calorie deficit, OMAD, shred. Because the single most effective thing we can do as human beings in regard to our health is controlling what we put into our mouths. That's like my thesis pretty much from all this.
It's the second
And
most intimate thing we do.
exactly. And it's because we live to eat, Christine. We don't eat to live anymore. We live to eat. We mourn, we eat. We celebrate, we eat. We travel, we eat. We're grieving, we eat. We're fucking bored. Oh, we eat. We're nervous, we're excited. We eat. Like, we go to that for dopamine, we go to that for sadness, for comfort, for everything except for what we really need out of it. And so all of us, for the most part, are just clogged up with carbon, dust, things like, hindering the brilliance that we all have inside of us that it's just been overrun and is now blocked and masked over with depression and anxiety and self-loathing and doubt and skepticism and all these things that just suppress creativity, belief, wonder, awe, and just childhood like zest for life. We're deadened, we're dumbed down, we're sick, we're scared, we're stupid. And so much of that has come from a system of choices, many of which are dietarily related. And that has gotten us into these states of just lesser than, deficit senses of humanity. And I have found by removing so many of these things and prioritizing the things that really do matter, this addition through subtraction equates to like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Oh my God, my depression has seemed to go away. Oh my God, my inflammation, this and that. Da, 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 da. All the things that people talk about when they go through certain types of elimination diets, and in particular carnivore one, thinking, wow, it's the diet is doing that to me. No, the diet is not doing that. That's you. That is the power of the body. That is the power of true and real homeostasis and self-regulation that the human body was made to do. It's just that we've been fucking that up since we were born. From the moment we come off the teat and we start having these green and orange and colorful jars, everything goes to hell, starts going to hell. And you think about that, multiplied over decades for most of us. And then all of a sudden we're trying to make changes and recalibrate this thing. It's like trying to turn a fucking aircraft carrier. I don't know if you know this, but to turn an aircraft carrier, you could ask your boy in the Navy. He'll know better than me. We're talking square miles that it takes to turn this boat. Square miles. Okay. Something this large of this many feet weighing and moving and having this much tonnage and momentum to turn that. If we go, okay, we're hard to starboard, guys, like it's going to take so much to slow that boat down, just to slow it down and then to start to make that turn. That's what we are when we're trying to change, in particular, our diets, because there's so many habits, there's so much conditioning, there's so much just muck to get through that for us to really change that and break through not just that crust and mantle, but to hit the core. It's like we got to turn this battleship, this aircraft carrier around. And most people don't want to make the effort that's required because it's a Herculean one. Don't want to make that effort that's required to see the changes that they're really after.
We are the sickest and fattest in human history. I mean, it's the last 70 years have been just awful. Now I know what we on Code Red, we focus on real food, water, sleep. Tell me if you agree. Do you find that clients come to you or people in general, it's just overwhelming the amount of things they need to change? And so what do you have them focus on in the beginning?
Doesn't matter what the person's there for, whether they're a business coaching client, because that's a big part of my business is working with other coaches trying to scale online. Small business owners also trying to scale things online, better develop products, better understand their media and content output. People with interpersonal relationships, marriages, even, I work with mothers, I work with daughters in the same family. People, just trying to change how they look straight up, body recomposition, gain weight, lose weight, whatever. Doesn't matter what they come for. Number one question, what's your diet like? First, right out the gate. Well, no, Jake, I'm here for business coaching. Great. What's your diet like? No, I'm here because I'm trying to repair things with my wife. Great. What's your diet like? Doesn't matter. Because without that being stabilized, everything else is going to have tape around it. Everything else is going to be safeguarded. Everything else is going to have a cryptid lock and key that I'm not going to be able to get through because it's already going to be tough enough of a battle with you, but I'm not going to try to fight through all that other shit too. Same thing with sobriety, substances. You can come to me with the spike still in your arm, powder on your face, blood on your hands, fucking condoms on your shoulders. I don't care. But from the moment you get here, that shit stops because I'm not going to fight that too. It's going to be hard enough just to deal with you. There's already many layers and challenges that are going to be there, but I'm not going to fucking fight that battle. Also, I'll help you deal with it. I'll show you what you need to do. I'll get you through it. I know what it takes because I've been there, but I'm not going to fight those battles too. And if you're not willing to commit to yourself by beridding those things, then you don't want to be here in the first place. So congratulations. Guess what? It's not that bad. So fuck off. That's what I say. When someone says, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. All right, cool. Well, guess what? Whatever it takes means. It means don't drink alcohol anymore. Well, I can't have like a drink or two. Fuck off. Well, what about like, when's my next cheat day? Please, like, no, go away. It's not that bad. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I can't figure it out. I've been obese or I've been, fit to fat over and over and over. All right. My favorite. I've tried everything. Well, everything? Yes, everything. Okay. Have you ever tried a strict carnivore diet for more than 30 days? Oh, I'm not going to do that. Oh, well, I didn't fucking think so. Well, that's not everything then. See you later. Well, it's hard. I'm doing my best. It's compared to what? It's hard compared to what? What's your reference? What's your range? What's your gauge of hard? And then what's the value of what it takes or what you're trying to get out of it? And to say that the second you say I hear words like that, or I've tried everything. That's a grave sentence to me. That's a massive superlative of I've tried everything. Because when I think of that, I'm like, I think of like clips from films like Schindler's List when the kids are in the latrines hiding in shit and telling other, you can't hide here. Like, go away somewhere. We're already full in here. It's like, that's doing whatever it takes. Reading stories about survivors of just immense hardships. Read a fucking book, Jane. Jesus, like read a book, read about some real suffering before you think you've done and tried everything over what it takes. So I like actually hearing people talk about it. I'm so broke, I can't afford what you offer. Okay. Have you taken out loans to pay off drug dealers? Have you taken out loans to get more money to pay off those loans, but actually you're going to like try to back out on some of them and then use some type of like credit card debt relief to only get more drugs? Have you stolen from family and friends to do that? Have you lied and cheated? And like, no, for most people, they haven't. So it's not that bad. And you're not willing to do whatever it takes because you don't know what that means. So don't tell me you can't afford it. Like stop talking to me on your cell phone that you're paying for, that you're warped into your mind with, that sucks away your soul every day. So I try to say that as palatably as possible with a lot of people, particularly with a soft inquiry like that. But, for the better part, most people, what they really need is not what they want. And what they need is radical candor, not what they think they want in the form of coddling.
I know that it helps in your stories, and you know this already, when you let it all hang out like this, because then people can see what they're getting. I know with our 30-day challenge, people can see my coaching style and say, hey, this ain't for everybody. Don't sign up. Don't go continue with us if you don't like this, because I'm not gonna change the way that I deliver the message to you, and we have arriving this retreat that I have this weekend. We've got 10 girls, and almost all of them have lost between 100 and 200 pounds. And
amazing.
Yeah, it's really, it's just, gone from like a size 24 to a size 4. And,
That's
amazing.
There's
a various things we're doing, and they're all girls. So we're doing like dress for your body shape, because you lose the weight off your body, but you don't lose it off your mind quite as fast. And part of the weekend, Jake, is everybody's getting in the ice bath. And
nice.
These girls, they just have been morbidly obese for years or decades, and they've never done hard things and I'm like, no, we're going to show you're getting in that ice bath and you're going to stay there. And it was a requirement before they could sign up. Don't nobody getting out of the ice bath. Everybody's getting in the ice bath. I'll get in with you. We'll do it together. I'll talk you through it, but you are doing it. So I like putting people through hard things. When you do your daily stuff, I know that people can really take this whole daily routine thing really far, as that I know Alex Hormozy kind of makes fun of it, but what are your daily routines as far as waking up in the morning, starting off your day? Do you journal? I think that you journal. I think that what things do you do to really get your mindset for the day?
First with your group of girls, that is just awesome. 100 to 200 pounds a piece. That's amazing. So that's real tonnage. As far as in collective weight loss, it's amazing. You put all of them together, and to say something like that would be like, do y'all realize we've lost, a pun intended, a ton of weight together?
Yeah. Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like to say that it's like, hey, y'all, we have lost a ton of weight together. That's amazing.
In a year and a half. I mean, we're talking anywhere from 12 to 16 months,
Oh,
12 to
that's
18 months.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, they're
exactly.
lucky to have you. And I mean, you're a fighter, you know? That's like literally a fighter. It's like you know what it takes, you know what it means to suffer. And,
Yeah.
you know, to the Mike Tyson, like everybody's got a plan, right? Until um, but yeah, if you don't like getting hit in the face, it's probably not the sport for you, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, for me, the routine is a big part of it. But if it's disrupted, that can't be a reason to crumble.
Mm.
Right. So like, yes, I get up early in the morning. Um, I write first thing in the morning. It's what I always do. I read a little bit and write a little bit. I read a little bit, write a little bit. So it's like a quick ingestion, quick reflection. I like doing that first thing in the morning because it's the first thing that goes into my brain. You know, it's getting something of good substance right into my mind when it's fresh and hungry, and then also at the same time regurgitating information either that I just read or expressing thoughts that I have. So one way or another, it's just kind of like reception and putting out, you know, something that I'm consuming and something that I'm producing, creating. So it's kind of like this cool little, I take one thing, but I give something else too. You know, whether it's something I need to get out because I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, or it's empowering, or it's motivating, inspiring. Same thing with what's coming in. Typically, I'm not reading something like negative or bad, but there might be something experientially that I've read that's like, fuck, that's hard shit. You know, it's like, ooh, it's not maybe the most uplifting of topics or subject matter. Like when I was reading um, Man's Search for Meaning, you know, Viktor Frankl, it's like, yeah, it's not the most uplifting subject matter reading about a Holocaust survivor amidst death camps, but so much to find in there, you know, to find polarity of life and understanding just the extremisms of adverbial condition of the human mind and body and what people are able to go through and find in the form of resilience and adaptability and like perseverance, you know? And that's why I say to people, like, just fucking read about things, man. Like, read about other people. You think your life is so hard. You think things are so bad. Like, I promise you they're not. Like, I promise you they could be way worse. And if you could just tap into that a little bit, you can find success for yourself. Like talking about your 30-day challenges. Like, if the reason I do what I do in these 30-day challenges and experiments, number one, they're for me. They always will be. They always have been. And for anyone else, your reason for change or production or whatever, it needs to be for yourself first. It can't be because you're trying to appease your wife or your family or your kids or whoever. It's got to be for you. The reason has to be yours. Just like getting clean. People begged me, pleaded, come on, like, just can we finally do it? Like, it didn't matter because I wasn't ready to at the time. And I see that with people all the time in recovery, like their families, like, what do I need to tell him? What do I need to tell? You don't need to tell him fucking anything. It doesn't matter what you say to him. It doesn't matter how bad you beg her. They have to want to do it for themselves. So, like for me with these 30-day things, I do them for me because this is my hack. This is what I have found to be the way into the cave of wonders. This is where I find competitive and comparative advantages in life. This is what I have used to simulate my 40 days and 40 nights in the desert, a la Jesus in the Bible. Because if you go 40 days and 40 nights in the desert dry fasted, congratulations, you've earned the right to talk to God.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody hearing that, well, was he really talking to God? I don't know, but go ahead and go dry fast 40 days and 40 nights in the desert and tell me if you find God. You're going to certainly thought you did or think you have, but you've earned that right to, that's some rare air. And so I use these things as a method to find my own sense of rare air, my own sense of isolation, like where I'm thinking like, I'm the only person in the world doing this right now. Out of 7 billion people on the planet, I bet you I'm the only one on earth doing this. That's kind of cool. And so on top of that, it's leading by example because I want the other people that, you know, follow me, that are in my community, that are in my coaching program to see like, man, this dude is really about this shit. And I'm like, you fucking ain't right. I am. 30 days will change your life. You do this all in, all the way, no holds barred, full tilt. I guarantee this shit will change your life. And it doesn't have to be one of my challenges per se, but I talk to my clients and I impress upon them all the time when they say, hey, Jake, I think I want to change the program up a little bit. Hey, I think I need to change this. Hey, I think we need to change that. And I'm like, when was the last time you made 30 days? When was the last time you went 30 perfect days where you didn't miss this, you didn't miss that, you didn't change, you didn't hear, you didn't cut a corner? They're like, well, I mean, I'm like, then there ain't nothing wrong with the fucking program. It's not the plane, it's the pilot. I'm flying the same plane you are. I'm doing the same things you're doing. I preach, teach, and impress either things that I've done and gotten to me where I am now, or that I continue to still do because of what they provide. All of us are different. Each of us is unique, no doubt about it. Everybody's special, for sure. Every bit about you, Cristy, is a living miracle, and you are a single being. But we are far more related than we are indifferent. And there's far more that we can find in commonality than we can find in difference. But too many of us want to subscribe to this extreme sense of individuality and difference and uniqueness that makes us have this analysis paralysis about what we can and cannot do. And we love to adopt victimhood. Oh my God, do we love that? And we love to self-diagnose issues that we have, or allergies, or diseases, or inabilities, disabilities. And we let them or maybe they're even actually diagnosed, but we let them determine our fates and handcuff us to not do things to the true limit of our potential. And we cap ourselves so ahead of what we're truly capable of. And so through these 30 days, because I can't make someone go to Marine Corps boot camp, I can't put someone through different places and things in life that I've had to deal with and where I've found and been able to reflect back on and say, holy shit, that was like 45 days of blah, 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 blah. And like what I found there, oh my God. But what I can do is try and give them some sense of understanding to those things. 12 weeks, 13 weeks, you go to Parris Island for in South Carolina for Marine Corps recruit training. Doesn't matter what you look like on training day 0. And this is where, kind of to your first question, where training, what, every day is day 1 comes from. It doesn't matter what you look like on training day 0. When training day 1 starts, it's fucking on. And make sure of it. I interviewed a friend of mine the other day who was a former company first sergeant at Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego. So the head enlisted person for the whole recruit depot, in charge of all the recruits there. And of his several years of tenure being there and the thousands of civilians to Marines that he saw come through there, he had a 96.3 or 96.4 success rate with all people, right? So if we all think about our clients and people we work with, or people and whatever they do, what's their success rate? Well, they're real estate agents or brokers. What's your kill rate? What's your hit rate? What's your success rate? What's your close rate? Doctor, heal rate, whatever you want to say. What's your close rate? What's your kill rate? What's your success rate? So for those thousands and thousands, maybe tens of thousands, I don't know, that he had under his helm, 96.4% from training day 0 to when they graduated 13 weeks later, sure as hell became Marines. Some of them can't tie their shoes, literally. They put their shoes on backwards. Some people don't know how to walk. Some people don't know how to run. Some people can't do one pull-up. It's kind of a pretty big part of being a Marine is being able to do pull-ups. But get there on training day 0, they can't do one. They have long hair. They're out of shape. They're big, tall. They're smart. They're dumb. They're of every color, creed, nationality, background, or sexual preference, orientation, all over the place. It's a shotgun blast of diversity. Awesome. But 96.4% of those people from training day 0 to 13 weeks later become Marines. How? Control. It's about control. And I don't mean like, we're controlling you. No, the method of control. The most important part of the scientific experiment is the control element. If you and I, Cristy, are about to try to measure ourselves biometrically on a walk, and I'm going to wear rollerblades for the walk, and you're going to wear platforms, that's not really a control. The experiment's flawed because we're not in the same method of control. So these 30-day challenges and experiments, it's about control in order to gauge and have accurate data to delve and derive X plus Y for sure equals Z to get a certain solution. That's why I do what I do the way I do it. That's why I try to impress and encourage people to remove and get rid of as many variables as possible, because you want it to be as X plus Y equals Z. Training from these times over this amount of time in this method, in this manner, guarantees by 96.4% these people become Marines. That's why it works. It's not about because we all believe it as recruits. It's no, it's the control. And so to take and find control in your own way, to apply it to your own life, it will get you that 96.4%. But if you deviate just one iota quickly becomes two. And x plus y equals z is what we want. Does x squared plus y equal z? Maybe, but it's a little trickier to solve. But if you start going x squared minus 4 divided by the square root of 10 plus 5y minus 12 divided by the cube root of 9, does it still equal z? I don't know. But go ahead and solve that. And you can't use a calculator. It's a lot harder. And that's what we do in the form of our own variables, our own issues, our qualms, our fucking complaints, as opposed to if you would just listen. Don't ask, just do. But too many people, it's hard to break through to that.
And that's what that's what all of us, I mean, with a 96% success rate, we all should be running everything that way. Is that kind of how you run your coaching program? This is the program, do it the way that I wrote it for you.
Yes and no. So is there variance in the sense of each person has different needs? Is it just a single template for everybody? No, definitely not. Because each person has different needs, right? Each person has different abilities, truly, or different inabilities, more so. And finding what they want, I should say, engaging the program to that. The methodology is very similar. The concepts are going to be similar, but truly it's about understanding you're trying to fly and we need to reduce as much drag as possible to get you there. You want to get this balloon basket off the ground. Well, we need to take out the fucking bricks from the basket. Well, are you sure? Is it really those people? Yes, you shouldn't hang out with those people. You shouldn't be drinking that. You shouldn't be thinking that way. It's not me to be the judge or the critic telling you what's right or what's wrong. It's for me to be helping you realize what's needed inside you this whole time. I don't teach anybody anything. I help people realize what's already in them. Nothing about what I teach is truly novel. Look, I've taken everything from contemporary philosophy, historical philosophy, theology, wisdom, military strategy, tactics, and leadership principles, a bunch of different authors with self-help, personal growth, development, stoicism, and melded this all into this one thing. Nothing about it is original. It's a big Frankenstein, just, mindset upgrade. But I've learned how to put it into a system that is applicable, or rather can be usable to the average person. Where I say, here you go, take this, use this, and that's what you should do. So is there like a template for it? Yes. But the template is more of like, it's dry erase. It's a dry erase board. And there are boom, 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 boom bullets that are permanently on that dry erase board, right? So like you might have categories that are permanently there. And then we dry erase them off, and I put Jake stuff in there, dry erase that off, put Cristy stuff in there. And that's the truth. Most people don't, no, that doesn't apply to me. Yeah, it does. Like getting up early, or rather, doesn't mean getting up early, having a non-negotiable wake-up time. It doesn't have to mean necessarily early, because I started doing this even when I was in the oil field, getting up at, the middle of the night. It's just defining that. Mm-hmm. Because so much of what I teach and utilize has come from prison, has come from people who are starving, who has come from people who are in camps, who has come from people who have nothing to rely on except their own, quote, program, their own sense of self-discipline. They have nothing. They have no place to go to. They don't have Bali to run away off on a fucking retreat. Good for you. That's great. I'm sure it's good too. But I'm talking about if you were stuck and trapped in a room and you had nothing to go on except your own God-given innate sense of self-belief, what would you do? Like anybody can do anything out there with a bunch of resources, escapism, and a bunch of luxuries, abundance, fortunate. But what about when you have nothing and you just have yourself? That's a hard place for many people to go to, because people look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, or they've never actually done it. They've never actually heard their real internal voices. I challenge clients to strip themselves down to see who they really are, not who they think they are, not who they want to be. Show me who you really are first, and then I'll show you who you want to be.
Man, that's some good stuff. I know that I'm just thinking here, thinking if it worked for the Marine Corps, though, they have all these different people that come to them and they have no variables. They do not change the program for anybody. And look at the success rate. And I know that and I don't do a high level coaching program like you. Mine's basic, but I have zero wiggle room on the rules. These are the rules. They're basics. We're talking about real food, water, sleep. It's a basic food list. It's a basic rule list. Do it or don't do it, but you've got to nail these basics and they don't ever change in life. They just don't, and not in the way that I view it. And from here, you can hone it and you can personalize it. But when it comes to the basics of just existing in a healthy way, I have zero wiggle room on it. You do it my way or you go somewhere else, go to Weight Watchers, go do Ozempic. I do not care. You come to me, then we're going to do it my way. And this is going to be the rest of your life, but it's real basic stuff. So I don't know. I just think I just don't have any wiggle room on it. People don't get to negotiate with me. They don't get to argue. I don't want to hear your crap. I don't want to hear anything what you say. I want you to shut your mouth. I want to hear, when I used to train boxers, it's either yes, coach, yes, ma'am. I don't want to hear anything. I've seen boxers kicked out of boxing gyms for even giving their coach a dirty look. So I was raised maybe a little bit old school, Jake. I don't know.
I can definitely relate. God, when you first get on the island, Paris Island or MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, as a recruit, you have 3 responses. You learn this day 1 or day 0. Aye, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. That's it. And it's funny because I remember before going into the Marine Corps, like watching, Forrest Gump as a kid and, laughing at him talk about like the Army was really easy. You just do what you're told. You move real fast. You have a lot of volume and just make sure you say, everything like, yes, drill sergeant. Like, and it's very true. I had a blast in boot camp because I was on time, I was punctual, I was loud, I was energetic, and I did everything exactly the way they said to do it. Fold it like this, stand like that, press it like this, aye, sir, yes, sir, no, sir. And people would still respond like, I don't understand. That's not a fucking answer. Like you've been given a simple set of instructions. And if you keep to them, we're not saying you won't get beaten, tortured, or suffer, but maybe you'll suffer a little less. And people would still say, I don't understand. Like, that's not an answer. God damn it. And whether it's the Marine Corps, the Army, like any of the armed services can relate, and we'll laugh at that. But it's not to say that life has to be, well, Jake, life is not the military. I know that. I'm not saying it needs to be. But God damn it, like you can take a page from some of these books.
Mm-hmm.
You guys love to take pages from other books to justify your reasons for doing shit. Oh my God, well, I read this and Sally, whoever, blah, 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 or like blah, blah, blah said this, or like Gandhi said that, or like the Dalai, like you love to, religion, let me go down that rabbit hole. You love to take pages from those books when it benefits your situation. But what about this is so arbitrarily like argumentative to you to where you're like, I can't relate to it. Take your guys off of it and just see it for what it is. Like there's something to be seen and had there. And like what you said, like simple rules, but it's not like you're saying, okay, we're going to eat glass every morning. We're going to piss on our feet and we have to, I don't know, shit motor oil or what, like, okay, it's kind of extreme, Jake. Like, no, you talked about, whole foods, water, and sleep.
Right.
It's the 3 vitals of life, 3 of the 4, right? Eating, sleeping, breathing, and drinking. Those are what I would call the 4 vitals. If you attack any of these 4 vitals of life, you're going to get a radical response. You take away someone's sleep, oh boy, radical response. We do not perform well with lacks of sleep. That's why we love to use it for interrogation because it's very effective. You take away someone's breathing, tremendously effective. We're not going to get very far if we can't breathe. But also at the same time, breath work is phenomenal, extremely beneficial. Why? Because it's one of those vitals. How about them apples? Amazing. Mm-hmm. Food. Ooh, we take away food. We're definitely going to feel the effects of that. But we can still go pretty long without it. And we can use it in a controlled manner in the form of fasting. And all of a sudden we've got this, wow, we feel better. We've got this mental clarity going on. Like, wow, imagine that. But if we do it for too long, deadly. Drinking, and not booze, we mean hydration, water. Same thing. Dry fast can be very beneficial, but too much of it can definitely kill you. So you tap into any one of those 4 vitals, you're going to get a radical response. And food is right there at the top of all of them. But if you think about throughout human history, your greatest thought leaders, intellectuals, theologians, stoics, anyone that's trying to find elevated states of consciousness, foster creativity, ideas, they've used 3 things ubiquitously: extended treks, prolonged fasting, and isolation. All of them. Now, some of those are usually congruent with each other too, because if you're on an extended trek, a long walk, oftentimes you're alone. And for most people, if as long as you're not fucking munching, guess what? You're fasting. So voila, all 3.
Exactly.
And that's been through millennium. I mean, read a book and you'll hear about, it doesn't matter if it's Muhammad, Jesus, Yahweh, or whoever you want to bay to or be the deity of, like, they're all going to talk about it. There's a great book called Leaders Eat Last, Leaders Eat Alone. And it's true. Suffering, the road to self-enlightenment and all that is paved in suffering. Understanding what makes you grr. What's hard for you. Like, you're afraid of this, good, go do more of it. You don't like walking, you don't like running, good, do more of it. You love going to the gym, good, challenge yourself by not. Oh, you hate fucking sardines, Jake, good, try to eat them for 30 days. That's what I'm doing right now. Day number 5. Eating watermelon for a month, easy. Drinking raw milk for a month, easy. Eating red meat, salt, and water for 100 days, easy. Eating a single meal, massive calorie deficit, 66 days of strict carnivore, easy. All that's enjoyable. 5 days so far I fucking hate it. I hate sardines, hate them. And here I am because of what it's going to teach me in the form of what real hunger means. What it's going to teach me in the form of enduring something, what it's going to reframe for me, my understanding of luxury and abundance, and how fortunate I am to have what I have in the form of food and resources and options. Simple challenges like that people would bat their eyes at to not see the profitability in, where I see nothing but just light years of gain and productivity. And what I have to go through in the form of soul searching and stripping myself down to really understand, like, God, is this really, am I really understanding what it's all about? I don't know. But to uncloud my own mind in this way. But yeah, if you never do anything like that, like, you come from the ring, you can hit the bag all day and you're great and you're awesome and your footwork's great. Oh my God, she kills it on the speed bag. Okay, let's go spar. And then we get in the ring, and those ropes, that box gets small real fast. And then somebody's on the front foot, they're aggressive, and you're like, whoa, wait, I'm not ready yet. Oh, well, I just saw you killing it on the bag. You do great with mitt work. But all of a sudden we're in here, and you're crossing your feet over, and you can't step back right, and you can't step back and step to the side right, like you're faint. Like, it all goes to shit because now you got a little bit of intensity involved.
Mm-hmm. You sound like you know a little bit about boxing. I just did a
Very little bit.
I just did a doc. I have a documentary out right now on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. It's called and it's just it's a great documentary. It's holding steady in the top 5, and it's really great.
I'm
And it's
watching
about my
it
life.
tonight. I'm watching it tonight. I swear to
Oh,
God, I'm
good.
gonna watch it
Yeah,
tonight.
Code
Are you
Red,
kidding? Amazing.
Diaries of Madness. It's great,
Oh,
and
done.
it's so funny how everybody the whole boxing thing. What I talked about in the film was my boxing career. The reason I wasn't even that great of a fighter. I mean, I was ranked, I think, during my reign, one of the top 3 most dangerous females on the planet. But that was many years ago.
Not that great. Not that great of a fighter.
I would herniate a disc if I tried to do it now. But try to kill somebody now, it'd take me a little bit of warming up. But what I think, there's so many more things, like you said, you can look great on the mitts, beautiful punches, turn that left hook, everybody, the bags don't hit back, but what can you make a career out of it? Can you actually manage the travel? Can you manage the blisters on your toes? Can you manage all the other stuff, the press, the bets that are being placed against, all these other things?
Mhm.
There's a lot to it. So I want to ask you, uh, I know people are going to ask. So, and I almost just hate myself for even asking it, because
Oh
it's almost
boy.
like I want to throw up in my mouth,
Oh
even just,
boy.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it because I know people are going to wish that I would have asked you this. Is that what keeps you motivated? Is chasing that rare air, just looking for that next thing that's going to bring you being uncomfortable and pushing through it?
Mm, great question. And I'm definitely going to watch a documentary tonight for sure.
Thank you.
Um, and yeah, my experience of boxing is very, very, very minimal, but I'm still a big fan of the sport. I respect the grind. I respect the mechanical poetry that it is.
Mm.
Like to watch people move and do what they do. It's like it's poetic because it's so fluid, but at the same time, it's a result of habits. It's a
Mhm.
result of mechanical movement. To watch your Mayweathers or Tyson Fury, even, a guy that big to have such good head movement,
Mm.
to be able to avoid punches, like some of the punches that he was avoiding when he and Wilder fought the last time was just insane. Like to 6'9" and to be as elusive like that, and it's amazing. But that
Mhm.
is the result of habits. That is the result of doing it very slow, doing it like this, dancing around the pendulum, and just
Thousands of
very slow,
times.
thousands of times, reps upon reps upon reps.
Yeah.
And then to see that, in the ring, or when he fought Ngannou, like in Saudi Arabia, in front of the world, and to Francis Ngannou for taking that fight, like center stage, your opening fight as a professional boxer is that against tight, like talking about the pressures of betting and people and wagers and all that, and hype and all that. Like, here's this guy coming out of Ghana. I forget. I think he's Ghanaian. I could be wrong. If I am, sorry. Or Cameroon. He's Cameroonian. Coming out of Cameroon, small town guy, MMA, and then says, "Hey, I think I can do this boxing thing too." And like, okay, here's your first shot. It's against the heavyweight champion in the world in Saudi Arabia for the world to see. Damn, that's pressure.
Yeah.
But same thing, just applying habits and letting your, consistency of those things, consistent familiarity of those things come out. And that's what's going to carry you. That's your confidence, and then a lot of self-belief. It's remarkable and so cool. But for me, as far as to answer your question about, man,
Because a lot of people won't even do a fraction of what you or I do in looking for. And you'll see in that film, my sister is one of the people they interview, and she said Christy's always looking for that next big thing that she wants to
mm,
do, that next challenge. If it's whatever, it's climbing Mount Whitney, or it's without oxygen, or it's doing rim to rim of the Grand Canyon, or it's doing what I did on the film. You'll see what happened
oh,
on
that's
that. And
awesome.
it's just, I'm kind of that way. I'm always looking for that next hit. And it's something that a lot of people can't relate to. Even my own mom, she just doesn't want to be uncomfortable ever. And a lot of people nowadays, they don't want their seat to be too hard, too soft. They don't want to be too
Yeah.
cold, too hot. They don't want to park too far from the Walmart. I mean, you are very rare the way that you would just attack life. It's very rare. I just don't see it in anybody else.
uh a part of it maybe is just wanting that next hit. But I think it's, once you realize what can be found when you consciously seek suffering for personal growth, I think it's hard to deny after that fact. When you realize what you're able to find climbing Whitney without oxygen, or doing that rim, or being in the ring, or running, the races, and what I do in courses now, like, you just can't deny it. Like, I've tried it the other way. I've tried it, slaving away at work. I've tried it, spilling my seed around the world with people. I've tried it drinking my sorrows away. I've tried it snorting, like, and that didn't do it. But these other things where I'm totally sober and lucid and just freaking sharp as a razor between the ears and completely present and putting myself through like an enduring and trying effort of things and having to talk internally and out loud, even something like, come on, Jake, like you gotta fucking do that. Like, hey, you can always just quit. And I'm like, fuck you, like to put yourself through those things and then to come out there's something there. And I can't totally say what it is. And I think that's good that I can't. I can't perfectly explain it. And I think it is something that truly has to be earned. It has to be something you go through yourself and you find your own gauntlet to do it through. Maybe it's, like it doesn't have to be climbing Mount Whitney without oxygen. It doesn't have to be, dry fasted marathons or it doesn't, whatever your version of that is, just find it. Maybe for you, it's sitting still for 5 minutes. I mean, that's what meditation began with for me. I couldn't do it for 3 minutes. Cristy was when I first started meditating, 3 minutes was what I put on the timer. Because for me to sit there for 3 minutes in the dark with my eyes closed, I couldn't do it at the time. That was where I had to start. That was my crawl phase for meditation. 3 minutes of silent introspection. And now, I do, 30 to an hour of that. But like 3 minutes was a huge thing for an undertaking for me to do. But doing that, I was like, okay, what about 4? And what about 5? And then like, as I progressed into that, it just became this like, God, if I thought I couldn't do that, and now I'm doing this, what else can I do that I thought I couldn't, or anything else that comes at my way? I'm like, fuck, I just have this arsenal of achievements, these little things that I've over time have amassed into this giant sack of like things that I'm able to go to and being like, oh yeah, remember that time? Like, here's this medal from that. Remember that time? Here's this medal from that. And I remember the first time I read David Goggins' first book years ago, and him talking about his cookie jar in the form of his difficult times and places he's been and things he's accomplished, and being able to go to that jar and like when he needs one, he takes one out and was like, I remember that. Yeah, I can handle this. I remember that. Yeah, I can handle this. And before that, I remember him talking about, if he was asked, what would he be asked when he's being judged? And he said, I'd hate to have regret of having not suffered enough. And I was like, fuck. People are like, what's wrong with you? You have to suffer? Like, what are you, a masochist? Like, no, it's not about being nailed to a cross or that I like to be hung from hooks or beaten and, fetishly with a bunch of black latex on. Like, I'm not really into, the black latex I can dig, but I don't like being beaten too much sexually. Right. Yeah, don't leave bite marks. Like, no.
Yeah.
But, but like, I'm more on the pleasure side. But to push yourself in ways, in a controlled, conscious effort, there is merit to that. And that's what I think is something that has become a lost art. Like you said, most people after the age of 30 will never sprint again in their lives. Most people, above the age of X will never do Y again. They've lost their sense of humanity in many ways. We won't lift certain things. We won't go to certain places. We'll just slowly start to deteriorate and quit. And if you don't keep yourself, to pull a page from the Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, to me, maybe it's not necessarily about looking for the next hit. It's just that I'm always sharpening the sword, constantly sharpening the sword, never dulling the blade, not whittling the blade down, but just making sure it's sharp, because you'd sure as hell rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Well, I know that the final line of my film is, if I can do this, what else can I do? And that's the way I feel. And all these things that I've done, the boxing career, the different ways that I've suffered, that's why I'm putting these girls through the ice bath, because they need to be able to have some kind of, if I can get through this, I can get through this. Well, if I can get through this, I can get through this. And so I like the suffering. I don't get it why people don't, but I look for new things to do that's going to put, and nobody ever needs to know. I wouldn't even bring my phone. I try to get some footage once in a while, but it's just me. It's just between me and me. I just want to prove that I can. And so I get it. I just know a lot of people can't relate. So what kind of person would be a good fit for your coaching program?
Good question. And before that, yeah, I'm with you on the ventures and whatnot are have to be your own, and it's also because you earn them. Like those are private moments that, number one, I don't immediately go, "Oh my God, guys, guess what I did?" Or like, "Mom, guess what?" Like, no, like revel in that, like cherish that and hold it. And like I had to earn that. So this is staying in this little secret. We live in this world where we feel like we have to just share fucking everything all the time. And like I share a lot of stuff. It's like an iceberg of what goes on in my life. As much as you guys see, as much as the world see, as much as I let you see, it's like an iceberg of what's really in here. Because that's how deep I am. That's how in love with life and myself. I don't mean that egoically, but just enamored, like fascinated, like to quote Reggie Jackson, the magnitude of me, like, and to be able to say, like, here's just a little bit, here's just a little bit. And people are like, wow, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, dude. And you got the same thing in you. If you could just see it. But many people can't.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, typical or ideal client, breathes 78% nitrogen, has 2 eyes, stands on 2 feet, is warm-blooded. That's an ideal client.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, like whatever suit encapsulates that soul. That's an ideal client. I have people that are as young as 13 and as old, grandmothers as old as 73. So doesn't matter. I've the majority of my clients are actually female, by like 3 to 1. So that's funny. I guess most people don't believe or are surprised to hear that. But yeah, it doesn't matter what they are, what they look like, what they think they are, what their problems are, overweight, not overweight, skinny, big, tall, small, short, broke, rich. I've seen them all. I couldn't give you a pattern of a person to say this is the ideal. In real estate, different story. Like I was profiling people. Like I attracted the clients I wanted to attract. Totally. This is, like I said, you fucking breathe 78% nitrogen, you're a client. You stand on 2 feet, you can think for yourself, you're a client.
It's really the attitude that you need from them.
They
The right
they
attitude.
have it. The right attitude is in all of us. Believing that is the difference. Wanting to believe that is an even bigger difference.
Yeah.
And then doing what it takes to embrace that even more so. Because I think anyone in the world could always feel better or could always improve, or want to improve or want to better their living situation or their job or their relationships. Like pretty much everybody could. But doing what it takes to get there is a different question. I think it's a famous Bear Bryant quote, like everybody wants to win, everybody wants to be a champion, but not everybody's willing to do what it takes to become one. True story. Oh, I want to make more money. Okay, well, here's what it's going to take. Oh, fuck that. Okay, well, that was easy. I want to change the way I look. Well, here's the way what's going to take. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm not willing to do that. Okay, that was easy. So I kind of like having that thin the herd mentality because I'm not looking for, I guess a better question would have been, it's not that the program or that I'm open to everyone. I'm not looking for everyone. That's a better way for me to say that.
It's always a good place to be in.
Heraclitus talking about warriors on a battlefield. For every 100 warriors, 80 of them should not be there at all. 10 are okay. 9 are real fighters, but 1 is the one that's going to make the difference in the battle. I look for those people, or rather, I find those people within themselves when they come to me. That's what I try to encourage and say, that each of us has that person, but God, all of us are just deadened to believe that we could actually do something like that. But like looking for the one. I'm not looking for these masses. The most amount of clients I've ever had at one time is like around probably 100. But it's not like there's thousands of people that are amassed and that I'm working with at a time. No. And right now it's probably less than 50. But each one of them is so uniquely dialed in and fierce and full of self-belief. And like at the second they start to fall down, I'm like, pick your fucking head up.
Mhm.
Get back up. Like stop doing that. Like to where I can't help you until you commit, but once you do, I promise I won't let you fail. It's the best way I can say it.
We like to say just borrow our belief, because we have people that come through our program, they're so beat up, they're so broken, and they just don't believe. And we just say, borrow our belief. We will love you, we will hold you up until you're ready to stand on your own feet. But when you were talking about that one client, I see we have about 20,000 people that we coach, that I coach in my
Amazing.
app. Yeah, it's pretty,
Amazing.
thousands come through a month, and it's the standout, very, very few that make it to be coaches. And I can spot them, and then I watch them. I watch them for the whole way, for months, for years, and see how they handle life, see how they handle their weight loss, just see how they are with the community, and just are they rising above? Are they floating to the top? Are they standout? And I keep my eye on them, and I just watch them. And then when the time comes, I offer them a job if I see that they are
It's
unique
awesome.
and special and very, very, very different. And so I do know that we have those unique people that come through that are just standout.
I believe it. God, then that's awesome. That's truly impacting lives at that scale. That's incredible.
Well, we're all doing our part. It's a very saturated industry, but we're all doing
In
our
the best
part.
way. In the best way. Someone asked me that before. They're like, what do you think of? I was like, good. Let there be more
Yeah.
coaches. Let there be more people that are vested in health and betterment and self-improvement. Great. Like
Yeah.
let everybody on earth be that. Then that's going to be a lot of people trying to be better than what they were and improve on themselves and be more efficient, be more productive, be more affluent, whatever. Like, great. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The competition certainly doesn't it certainly doesn't shouldn't scare or bother people. We should embrace it. We should be like, yeah, we're all doing our part to try to, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're all doing our part to try to bring hope and healing to the world. Because my goodness, 88%, what is it, like 88% of this country is overweight and sick. I mean, we just, it's really gotten to a really, and we know that they're not coming for us. I mean, nobody's coming for us. The government, the
Yeah.
education system, the pharmaceutical company. I mean, they profit on us being sick and fat. We know this is not even controversial.
Yeah. That's the title of my podcast is Sick, Scared, and Stupid for that exact reason. I
Ah, I
want
love it.
like
Oh man.
I had a going back and forth between titles. Fat, Dumb, and Ugly was one of them. But it was a close second to Sick, Scared, and Stupid. But Fat, Dumb, and Ugly is right up there, and that's the true state of many of us, and certainly in America.
I don't think people appreciated a couple of podcasts ago, or one coming out. I don't know. I lose track of them, but one I did is called "You Are a Walking Billboard," and what you people are judging you long before you open your mouth, and people just do not want to understand that people are judging heavy people, and they don't trust them, because evolutionarily you can't, you can't take care of your offspring. You're taking up too much resources with the tribe. It's just that you are not able to pull your own weight, and people don't respect heavy people. And I don't think, and boy, I got a lot of pushback from that. They were just like, I can't believe you said that. That's the
I believe
reality
it.
of things. I know
I
it's an
believe it.
aggressive stance, but we're just so fat friendly in our society that people just they don't want to say the hard thing. They don't want to say the quiet thing.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
So how can people find you? I went through your website. I thought it was really well designed. I thought it was user friendly, easy to navigate. How can people, I know that they can find you on Instagram. I know you got a nice website.
Everything for me, all the social handles are Life Like Jake. So on Instagram is Life Like Jake, youtube.com/Life Like Jake, lifelikejake.com. And then all my branded merch with the label that I started last year, Life Like Us, you can find at thelifelikeus.com. Just dropped new hoodies, all the branded and protesting shirts like Make Milk Raw Again, Ban Lab Grown Meat, Save the Great White Shark, and the now Life Like Us hoodie and reflective shirts are on there too. So thelifelikeus.com.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate this. You have just an incredible perspective, and I can just sit here and listen to you all day. So thank you.
Thanks for having me on the show, Cristy. It's great to be here, and I'll definitely have to send an invite to you now to have you on mine as well.
I'd love that. You guys, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you are looking for some hardcore accountability to get and keep this weight off, look no further, because I've got VIP Connection. This is the ultimate connection to me, just short of me sleeping on your couch. You're going to get 3 daily messages from me in real time directly to you. You're going to submit your weight every Friday. We're going to go over it in a weekly meeting on Sunday nights, and I'm going to give you feedback. You'll have access to a monthly VIP breakfast with me in Boise, a monthly VIP supplement box, access to any workshop, any PDF promo that I hold for that month. You'll have access to the Ringside membership. And best of all, you'll have a fully customized nutrition program written just for you. We're talking about over $3,000 total value for $397 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Go to coderedlifestyle.com/VIP to check that out.